From the Soaking Newsroom, here's your weekly local news recap. I'm Stephen Vier. The King County Sheriff's Office responded to an explosion and fire in Burien just before 4:30 a.m. on November 3rd. The incident happened at a home in the 12400 block of 20th Avenue South in the Boulevard Park neighborhood. When police arrived, the fire department was already on the scene fighting fires, which included 2 cars in the house's driveway and a nearby shed. Police say there was also anti-Jewish graffiti spray painted on the shed's wall and front door. King County fire investigators have determined that the fires are arson. Detectives are investigating to see if this incident should be considered a hate crime. The case remains under investigation. Photos at btownblog.com. On Thursday, November 3rd, a fight in a breezeway at Highline High School resulted in 4 students being pepper sprayed by a campus security officer. School principal Vicki Fisher said that after repeated attempts to break up the fight, the officer used pepper spray to separate the fighting students. 4 students were treated in the clinic for effects of the spray. Fisher said that she would be talking to the parents of the students involved in the fight. Fisher added, as is our standard practice, a use of force investigation is being conducted by our Safety and Security Department. A letter was sent out to all parents at the school to notify them of the incident. Details at btownblog.com. According to the King County Sheriff's Office, a deputy driving a dark unmarked SUV struck a pedestrian in a crosswalk in White Center late in the afternoon of October 31st. The deputy was northbound on 8th Avenue Southwest when he stopped at a red light at Roxbury Street. When the light turned green, the deputy made a left turn and struck a man who was in the crosswalk. Police say that the deputy did not see the pedestrian as he was making the turn. The victim received only minor injuries but was taken to Harborview Medical Center as a precaution. He was later released. An investigation of the incident is still ongoing. Details at btownblog.com. Des Moines has a new city manager effective immediately as acting city manager Michael Matthias assumes the permanent title. The city council accepted Matthias for the position by a vote of 6-1. The lone dissenting vote against Matthias came from council member Melissa Musser, who had concerns only about the salary Matthias will receive as permanent city manager. Partly because of his previous work for the city, Matthias will be paid nearly $154,000, the same amount earned by retired city manager Tony Piasecki. He will also receive 80 hours of annual sick leave and vacation. Details at waterlandblog.com. Highline Public Schools announced on November 2nd that its graduation rate has risen for the 3rd year in a row to nearly 75% for the class of 2016. This represents a jump of more than 12 points in 2 years, according to the district. The increase comes at a time when standards for graduation are higher than ever, and increasing numbers of Highline students are taking challenging advanced coursework. Superintendent Susan Enfield said, "I am inspired by the work of our dedicated teachers and staff who hold our students to high expectations." She says, "We are moving in the right direction, and we will not stop until we meet our target of at least 19 out of 20 students graduating, prepared to choose their future." Details at btownblog.com. The King County Sheriff's Office is asking for the public's help locating family members of all 16 King County Sheriff's deputies who have been killed in the line of duty since King County was created in 1852. The Sheriff's Office will be dedicating a memorial to the deputies at 10 a.m. on December 2nd at the King County Courthouse. They would like family members of the fallen deputies to be present during the historic unveiling. If you are a family member or relative of one of these fallen deputies, please contact Captain Greg Thomas at greg.thomas@kingcounty.gov. A list of the fallen and other details can be found at btownblog.com.
A pretty juicy atmospheric river is taking aim at the region this weekend, so we'll see quite a bit of rain, so keep your rain gear nearby. As for next week, the temperatures remain mild, partly sunny skies, chances of showers intervene by about the middle of next week. Thank you for listening. I'm Chris Gregg, your Puget Sound weather geek.
The election we've been waiting for is here. Soon we can stop hearing angry and ignorant statements from the national races. But there are a few important decisions for South King County voters. There is the gigantic $54 billion Sound Transit Proposition 1. It promises to add 62 miles of light rail extensions to the 54 miles already approved. It also promises more bus rapid transit, but it would be of little help to our part of South King County, and it would increase the cost of car tabs, sales taxes, and property taxes. We think ST3 is asking too much too soon. An issue that definitely would help South King County is the proposed Highline School District bond measure. It will provide students with safer schools, smaller class sizes, and room to learn in our fast-growing district. The bond is part of a facilities plan developed by a citizens-led committee. The Highline School's proposed bond measure does include money for planning for upgrading and additions to other schools, including Evergreen High School. The money to repair and replace Highline High School is the most important part of our first ever endorsement of a ballot measure. We urge people to vote for it. South King Fire and Rescue is on the ballot for a renewal of their maintenance and operation levy to collect $2.75 million annually. The new levy would actually be a smaller one than the present levy, but it would allow maintaining current fire department services and personnel. We recommend your support. But the most important thing is to do the right thing. Vote by Tuesday.
In the final take, the front page of November 2nd's The Seattle Times newspaper has a story about form letters sent out by King County to potential pet license avoiders, tersely reminding them that they'd better pay up immediately by buying a license for their pets or face a hefty fine. Some recipients, including some who did not even have pets, found the wording of the letter almost accusatory and threatening, and they complained to the county. The county responded, saying that they will re-examine the letter's wording and rewrite it for future releases. All well and good. But that's not the whole story. Evan Bush's well-written piece in the Times goes on to say how the county determined who would get these letters. As many people are aware, nearly everything we do as consumers is tracked by sellers in the form of data. That information, along with our identities, is often sold to information gatherers who carefully sift through that information so that they, in turn, can sell it to people or organizations who want to buy it. Further, when we consumers deal with local, state, and federal government agencies, much of that information is tracked too, and may be available on public websites. Personal details on home ownership, taxes, births, deaths, divorces, courthouse legal actions, and more are often available to anyone with a computer that can access the internet. Privacy seems to be a relative term these days. But back to the Seattle Times story. It seems that the county came up with its list of potential pet offenders, that's my term, by purchasing names and addresses of people who might have pets from a marketing and mailing firm. You might be on the list if you've ever bought dog or cat food in the county. They combined that list with the county's own internal list of licensed pets, and that became the database of names and addresses the county chose to pursue, and possibly threaten, depending upon your interpretation, by mail. The woman quoted in the story, who got one of the letters, even though she doesn't have any pets, makes a very relevant point. What if some government entity takes this approach a step further by using data mining to perhaps track down and threaten owners of, say, weapons the government doesn't like, or owners of potentially threatening dog breeds they don't like, or maybe people who have let their grass grow too high? In a George Orwellian 1984 example of our possible future, if you go to a local lumber yard to buy some lumber, will that purchase, along with your name, be sold to the government? And will the government in turn combine it with satellite photo information about your house to prosecute you because they now have evidence that you just built a new wooden deck onto your house without having purchased the required municipal building permit? Safety issues aside here. How about replacement of that old defective water heater? Everyone gets a permit for that job, don't they? What if the data the government has about us is simply wrong or is misinterpreted by some overachieving bureaucrat? Will we all need to keep an attorney on retainer just to fend off threats from a beneficent, and I use the term loosely here, government, that uses our own tax dollars to learn all it can about us and our habits in order to keep us in line? My point is that we are seeing the tip of the data mining iceberg in the Times story, and unless we are vigilant and reactive, the shadow of a potentially overzealous government may well continue to bear down upon us. As they say, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean that someone, in this case unrestrained government, isn't after you. Stephen Vier, Soking Internet Radio News.
Soking News was created based on a generous grant from JLab's Encore Media Entrepreneurs Program, supported with funding from the Ethics and Excellence in Journalism Foundation and the Nicholas B. Ottaway Foundation.